coming out of that, I want to talk about Crown Jewel, which was Thursday night, the weirdest fucking night for a pay-per-view. I get it. It's in Saudi Arabia. It's fucking at 11 in the morning. Completely threw off my podcasting schedule. The reason why I've been off a couple days. Because I just couldn't figure out when is the proper time to sit down and talk about all this stuff.
Yeah.
I thought as a whole, Crown Jewel, fairly good pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It was exciting all the way through. No big surprises. It was straightforward. It was just a lot of wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. I'd like to know everybody else's overall thoughts on Crown Jewel. Where does it fit in on the list of the pay-per-views we've had this year? Where do you rank it, right? But we can start right off with the opening match may have been my favorite match.
Okay.
Seth Rollins and Edge. They put on a hell of a show in Hell of a Cell.
Yeah.
Loved that match. Where does Seth go from here? That's my question, right? Edge got the job done, which I told you a week ago. If Seth Rollins pours fire or pours gasoline on top of Edge's fire, that's the wrong guy to do that to.
Yeah, you did mention that.
He's a guy who really didn't have much to prove, and then you gave him something he needed to prove. Mm-hmm. So Seth did that, right? So where does Seth go from here? Now that he's going to be, starting Monday, he'll be on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
We get the Monday Night Messiah back, and Edge will follow him there. Does he continue this obsession with Edge? I don't think so. I think that's over.
He's been defeated.
I think Edge proved that's not a fight that Seth Rollins wants to keep pouring gasoline on. So does he set his sights on Big E? Does he go over there and set his sights on Big E? Or does he start to just kind of pick off the small fish first?
Like who?
Kevin Owens. I could see Seth and Kevin Owens going at it. I'd have to look at the roster, but I just don't know. I don't know. What do you do with Seth? Yeah, I mean, where do you go with Seth? He's obviously got to be in the title picture at some point.
Yeah.
He's too good not to be.
I don't think they're ready to give up on Big E just yet.
Well, but we know that Big E is going to have to face Roman at Survivor Series. So we're going to have this weird month where the two champions are locked up together.
Yeah.
So nothing can go forward there. So I don't know where Seth goes. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. Or does he just take some time off? Mm-hmm. I mean, this would be a good time, There's not a lot going on. Take time off. Just rejuvenate yourself. Come back at the Royal Rumble and just start raising hell.
Yeah.
Come in for that WrestleMania season and just start raising hell again. I think, to me, that seems like the right thing for Seth Rollins to do. So what's left for Edge to do, right? Because at this point, he's only solidifying his place or his legacy amongst the all-time greats.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anything to prove like a Seth Rollins. He doesn't need another title run.
Yeah.
He doesn't need those things. So he's coming in and just proving that his motor still runs, right? He showed up the young Rollins, and so I think that moves him up a couple spots on my all-time list. The fact that at this age, he's able to go in there and get the job done, that's impressive, especially against, the architect. Seth Rollins, who is highly experienced in Hell of a Cell.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very, very impressive. I think I have Edge in my all-time list somewhere between 10 and 20.
Okay.
That feels like where Edge belongs to me. Somewhere between 10 and 20. In the next couple weeks, I want to really come up with a top 25 list of my overall all-time best/favorite wrestlers. And these lists are hard because the NBA just had a list come out of 75 best basketball players of all time. And it's so hard to fucking make a list like that, because how do you weight the old wrestlers and the old, athletes? How do you weight guys who played in the 60s and in the 70s? Because the sports in general have just become spectacles of athleticism now, right?
Yeah.
Guys that are wrestling now are far more athletic than guys that were wrestling, in Hogan's time and Ric Flair's time. Those guys were great, but I don't know that, I don't know how well Ric Flair would do in a match with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is too athletic. He moves around too much. He's too fast. I don't know how Triple H would do in this time period, right? Mm-hmm. Say what you want about John Cena, but he's transcended time a little bit. He's been able to kind of bridge a few gaps.
Yeah.
Look at fucking Edge. I think Edge, if you want to be realistic, I say 10 to 20, but he's bridged better than anybody else. He's bridged the Attitude Era to this new, 2021 style of wrestling, he's won in every aspect of that.
I agree.
Of that conversation, right? And my all-time GOAT is Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
So
Jericho.
I it feels like Edge is a 10 to 20 for me, but if I really sat down and looked at my list, he could even, after beating Rollins, he could have even moved up higher. So I want to do a top 25 list in the next couple weeks to just try and kind of solidify my top 25 favorite wrestlers of all time. That way I can even, I don't even know when I sit down and really look at it, I don't even really know where these guys are going to go.
Could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it could be, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Zelina Vega is Queen of the Ring or the Queen's Crown tournament winner. Blah, 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 blah. Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Who fucking cares? Who cares? Who cares? Do you care?
No. I wanted it to be Carmella.
Me too. Carmella got screwed out of this tournament because Liv Morgan fucking stuck her nose in a place that her nose didn't belong. She's a sore loser who came in and fucking disrespected the most beautiful woman in the WWE. That is Carmella. Mm-hmm. And so now we got Doudrop and Zelina Vega in what was just a snore fest of a match. Yeah. Horrible match. The size difference doesn't work. Doudrop is slow.
I'm not into Doudrop. She's boring to me.
So I'm going to get into that in just a little bit. I have my most overrated WWE wrestlers list, and she is newsflash. She's definitely on the fucking list. Because I don't understand what it is about Doudrop that why she's out there. I think in total, I read that the Queen's Crown tournament had like 13 minutes of wrestling. Ooh. If you add up all of the matches together, there was like 13 to 20 minutes of wrestling.
That's crazy.
Let's try to pretend like we're really all in on women's wrestling, and then let's go on the fact that we get 13 minutes of women wrestling.
Well, and not even that interesting.
Is Zelina Vega gonna fucking keep the crowd's attention for the next year with the crown?
No.
I mean, that wears off quickly. Shinsuke Nakamura was a good king. I enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah! I liked that.
Yeah.
Which leads me to Xavier Woods is the new king of the ring. Fucking yes, he is.
Hell yeah.
And
it's like it was made for him.
You talk about, Zelina Vega. This is not a knock on Zelina Vega, who I think is a good wrestler.
Yeah,
I have no problem with her. I just don't think that like the king or queen of the ring, there's kind of an aura that comes with that.
Personality.
And Carmella could have played the beauty queen fucking perfectly. Like that was tailor fit. I thought, oh, that's where we're going with this thing.
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. But instead we got Zelina. So, but Xavier, I thought Sammy was my odds on favorite. Yeah. Still believe there's a conspiracy. I'm 100% behind Sami Zayn. There's a conspiracy in the WWE that is holding Sami Zayn back because Sami Zayn, quite possibly the second or third best wrestler in the WWE. Just pure talent wise.
Damn.
I mean, let's be honest. They're holding him back. There is a conspiracy. He's been saying it for a long time, and I am behind him. I am in on the conspiracy. It's on Reddit. Reddit's talking about it in the conspiracy section. Everybody knows there's a conspiracy going on surrounding Sami Zayn. But I have to say, highly impressed with Xavier Woods. Highly impressed with his one-on-one wrestling. Yeah. A lot of guys can't break free from that tag team life. There's a lot of guys, I talk about the Young Bucks. I don't like watching them by themselves. Together, extremely fun. You get Kofi and you separate Xavier. I like watching both of them by themselves.
True.
They're good. Now, Kofi, ultimate hype man for Xavier.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the little coronation that they had on Friday Night SmackDown, we were eating that shit up. I loved it. He is going to be could be the best acting king of the ring we've ever had. He's going to embrace the king side of this more than anybody. Where does that fucking lead him? I don't know. Put the Intercontinental fucking belt on his waist.
Yeah.
Let's do something. I don't know. It's hard to say. He's not going to contest Roman.
No.
He's not going for the head of the table. And so he's stuck on SmackDown. That leads him to either compete for the tag team titles with Kofi, which the New Day are going to be just fine without Big E. Yeah. They're just fine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Xavier is coming into his own, and Kofi has been Kofi for a long time. So they'll be just fine. All right, so then we got Drew McIntyre versus Big E. I don't know what it is, because I've been high on Big E the last couple weeks.
You have. Me, not so much in my head.
But then I watch this match and I go, something's missing. But what is it? What is missing from Big E to elevate him to somebody that I feel like he's just one notch below what a WWE champion should be. There's something missing. I feel like his matches are way too quickly paced. He's running around, he's jumping, he's bouncing off the ropes. For a guy that big and intimidating, you need a little bit of like a methodical approach. Show his strength. I think the problem with putting him against Drew McIntyre right off the bat, we talked about this when we watched it, it almost made Big E feel small for the first time.
Yes.
Every time I saw like 6'6" Drew McIntyre standing next to Big E, it just reminded me like, he's not as big as he looks.
True.
And that's not always a bad thing, but Big E kind of relies on this like power fucking situation. I'm Big E. I'm the big strong guy.
Yeah.
And then his matches feel just extremely fast paced. Something's not clicking for me with Big E. And I want it to click. And I said this, he got more aggressive, but then I feel like he turned it back again and he went a little comical. Mm-hmm. And he's got to find the balance where he's comical, but he's still scary because he doesn't scare me.
No.
I don't think Drew McIntyre was intimidated. His opponents should be intimidated, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if you got this vibe. I don't know if you watched this match.
Okay.
But the crowd in Saudi Arabia seemed to be very pro McIntyre to me.
I love Drew McIntyre. So.
Which was very telling, though, because the big argument that people have been making to me since I first I had my critiques of Big E that everybody fucking got pissed off about. Then I clarified and said, no, I'm a Big E fan. These are just my critiques based on what I think the WWE thinks about Big E. Mm-hmm. But now the argument everybody's made is, well, the crowd loves him. The crowd loves Big E.
No.
In Saudi Arabia, it didn't feel like it was 100% Big E. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of McIntyre chants going on.
Yeah.
It felt pro McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre just has this aura about him where it's just like he is the man. He's like a beast. And Big E, I feel, is like the little kid that's like, I'm a big guy.
Yeah,
you know?
I can see. I mean, he comes off a little goofy.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre's a spectacle. He looks like a Scottish king. He looks like a guy out of Game of Thrones, right? Yeah. Like he's straight off the fucking pages of the book, right? Brings out a goddamn sword. They've got a sword holder on the side of the ring for him.
I know. I mean,
let's go. Let's fucking go. He's Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
But I do think, I thought that was a bad position to put Big E in on his first defense on Raw.
Yeah.
I don't like that. They should have gave him. They should have fed him someone he could have just squashed. Let him go in there and just wow.
I mean.
Hey man, I've had I've had a lot of people tell me the crowd loves Big E. Had quite a few people tell me they think Big E's a transitional champion.
True.
Which means he's not going to hold that belt for a long time. So how long does the WWE stick with Big E? My chair is fucking sinking on me. I got to get a new chair. How long do they stick with Big E as champion when you now have Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Edge, and even the rumors? I called this Montez Ford. The WWE likes him.
Oh,
they love him. And they highly considered during the draft breaking up the Street Profits.
Yeah.
They thought, let's let Montez go. That match with Roman Reigns was a tryout, and he passed with flying colors. So how long? Big E, he's on a clock. Mm-hmm. And I get it. I understand completely. Monday Night Football, it's fucking hard to compete with Monday Night Football, right?
Yeah.
The pandemic, it's fucked up ratings for everything.
Yes.
But Vince McMahon and the WWE aren't patient. Nope. If they're not getting results from Big E, they'll pull the trigger and put him in a bad situation.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch is still the man. She went into Crown Jewel and she came out of Crown Jewel with a fucking championship. Something I thought I called Sasha Banks. Still looked like Sasha had that match at times. She had it handled. But Becky's a fighter, man. She's a fucking fighter. Now, there's something I want to bring up, and I know this is probably going to be controversial and probably lose a couple thousand followers for this, but it's some shit that I think during the show that has to be said, right? So I know it's Saudi Arabia, and I know it's custom, and they can't fucking show their stomachs or their backs or their shoulders. You can't do anything this, right? Get it. I understand. It's the custom of the country. But isn't it a little fucking silly that the entire time before the match, we can show video clips of them in the other outfits?
Yes.
And we can see what they wear other places. But when they come out in Saudi Arabia, even though they're performers, I get that there's customs that have to go on within the culture. But these are performers. This is no different than watching a movie.
Yeah.
Right? You're just watching a live performance of a movie. I don't understand why they have to wear fucking t-shirts even.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand the bodysuits. I get it. Like, if they had to wear some kind of bodysuit, maybe, but I don't understand the t-shirt. It's silly to me. It's silly that it's only silly because we can show 400 clips pre-match of them in their normal attire. But when we get to the ring, we've got to fucking appease to this culture.
Why a t-shirt? Couldn't WWE have come up with some sort of better outfit that was still covered and whatever?
I'm sure that's what's agreed upon. Like, I'm sure they have to sit down and have this discussion.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I remember in the first Crown Jewel, I think women couldn't even wrestle.
Yeah.
And then there was a second one where they allowed it, and now they're allowed to wrestle, but there's certain attires. And I get, like, you got to adhere to the culture. I just don't understand how they can run 400 video clips before the match. I also don't understand how then we can have a match between two of the oldest men in professional wrestling, Bobby Lashley and Goldberg, where Goldberg is threatening to fucking kill him the entire time. Yeah. That's okay. But if we see Becky Lynch's fucking shoulder, we got a problem. But Goldberg's out here claiming he's going to fucking murder somebody.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, for claiming he's going to murder somebody, the best you can do is spear them off of the stage onto a table that's on the ground.
Yeah.
This dude is out. That's your opportunity to murder the dude. I thought he was going to go get a knife and finish the job.
Yeah.
But don't get me started. That was one of the worst matches I've ever seen.
I just don't like Bobby Lashley. So I
don't have a problem with Bobby Lashley. I just don't think you put Bobby Lashley with Goldberg. It's like the least amount of personality.
Well, it's boring and boring to me, sorry.
You don't touch my family. You don't. Dude, tell your fucking kid, like, teach your kid, you don't jump in, you don't break into somebody's office and attack them from behind. That's consequences, Goldberg. Yep. You try to choke Bobby Lashley, he chokes you. Yeah. That's what he's fucking trained to. The man is a trained machine. Mm-hmm. But I thought Becky looked good in the match. I thought that she did exactly what she had to do to retain. Sasha Banks looked good in the match, and Bianca Belair looked good in the match. Nobody came out of that with egg on their face. Everybody looked good. So going forward, that just kind of continues, right? Mm-hmm. Coming